Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To Professor Dr. Hairuddin, Muhammad Ali and all my friends. Today, we from Group 7 will be present about the formal model theories of educational management and leadership. I introduce the members of my group. First, Hafsham Noor bin Abdul Hamid, Hairil Izhar bin Kamaruddin, Umi Kalsum binti Muhammad, Kausaliyah Naidu, Barataraju Naidu, and me, Salwani binti Ramli. Table of contents. First, introductions. 2. Formal model. 3. Managerial leadership models. 4. Strategic leadership models. 5. Instructional leadership models. 6. Conclusions, and 7. Bibliography. Objective of presentations. First, to explain models of educational management and leadership. Number 2, to explore and understand models of educational management and leadership. Number 3, to explain the characteristics contained in the formal models. Number 4, to explain models of strategic leadership model. And number 5, to explain models of instructional leadership model. Today, society is organized society, which is well organized. An organized society, human beings are born in organization, receive lesson in organization, and most of the time is paid in organization, such as a home, school, office, company, association, etc. In short, people live today should not be separate from organization, so they die organized by organization. As modern society now priorities rationalizations, effectiveness, and performance, the role of the organization is increasingly critical and challenging. One way of doing this is by coordinating human activities within the organization with the resource available to be managed through effective and capable leadership or management. Such a management process is an organizational contribution to the community as well as individual to meet their various and sometimes pressing needs. School organization is well known for achieving a goal. Formal model provides some affirmation or rationale for achieving the goal of the organization. There are 5 models in the formal models, namely structural models, system models, bureaucratic models, rational models, and hierarchical model. The common element found in formal structure are such as treating the organization as a system, stressing and formal structure, hierarchy, finding goals, rational in decision making, focus on goals, pressure on authority and official position, and being responsible for superior authority. Formal models. There are 5 features in the formal models. Among them are: number 1, structural model. One of the branch is a formal model is structural model, which is a structural model. The structural concept of this model is the existence of hierarchy. There must be distribution of tasks, the need for the implementation of tasks and its supervision, and there are law and regulation. For example, in school management, this model is widely used especially in the management of the community, curriculum community, where within the structure of the community there is a hierarchy of principals and advisor, followed by the administrative GPK and curriculum as chairman, as well as appointed from among the normal teacher, while the community consists of head of field, head of community, and coordinator of law. Each of these communities has its own rules and duty, and each of these tasks is supervised by the administrator. This is because the curriculum community is an important community in every school because it can determine the academic achievement of the school. Number 2 is system models. This model is ideally used to analyze or plan the system. There are several ways to be able to design, analyze, and operate a system. One of them is by doing modeling. Modeling of the system. Models are very useful tools for analyzing and designing systems, has a highly efficient communications tool and model can show how an operation works and it's able to stimulate to think how to improve or improve it. The model is defined as a logical description of how the system works or the component interact. By creating a model of the system, it is expected to be easy to perform analysis. This is the principle of modeling, which is that modeling aims to facilitate its analysis and development. Number 3. Bureaucratic model. This bureaucratic model has a fixed position, principal position. Next, formal models. There is also a bureaucratic model. This bureaucratic model has a fixed position, principal position. Principal is a permanent position and the bearer can change. This bureaucratic model also has hierarchy and law and does not take into account personal factor in implementing the law and in the provision of facilities. The problem is this model is that it focuses more on procedure than goals, emphasizing the law rigging and preventing innovation. The administrator is this bureaucratic system is appointed based on qualification, loyal to the organization, patterning what he wants from the career, important or professional skills. He is also aware of the limitation of power and scope. He also knows he is just a test and administer based on organization, law, and there are limitations. Number 4. Rational model. The rational model is to make relational decisions based on the scientific information obtained. So this rational model can reduce the chance of error, uncertainties, and assumption. This approach can also reduce the risk of failure, as an evaluation and selection of this approach process is based on sound and logical information and knowledge. Rational model can help decision make to deal with difficult problems in complex environment. This model is a step-by-step outline of the approach required to determine problems, identify weakness, criteria, and result, list a variety of alternatives, consider the present and future consequences of each alternative, and arrange alternative components according to priorities. By using the model, the issue will be addressed by solving into simple steps and all aspects of the issue will be considered with a possible solution and then make a final decision. Number 5. Hierarchical model. For hierarchical data, plan classification scheme organization chart. It is constructed from a tree-set arrangement set of anchorage of one type of tree. This model is based on the concept of the tree structure consisting of parts such as root nodes at the tops and leaf nodes at the very bottom. This section is a record of information that will relate to all the parts such as interdependence, a father and son. Each information record is a segment that must have only one father and each relationship between his father and child must be in the form of the one-to-many relationship. And the conclusion, all 5 education management models have their own characteristics and can certainly be applied in school management. This is because school management is a very wide area and covers many aspects such as curriculum, student affairs, and so on. From the aspect mentioned, there are many more branches in it. Therefore, the use of this model is not only one model for a school but can be used in various aspects of management of the school.
Thank you, Cikgu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Umi Kalsum binti Muhammad. I will continue the presentation with the title Goal, Structure, Environment and Leadership. Goal. Schools are viewed as goal-seeking organizations. According to Begley, 2008, educational leaders should keep fundamental purpose in mind. Goal setting should take into account the interests of the children, their abilities, the peculiarities of the social environment. Fishman, 1999. Then, structure. Work of teachers and staff defined by their role within structure. Official structure tend to be hierarchical, means that they must include distribution of duties, the need for execution of duties, supervisions, laws and regulation. Every teachers and staff accountable to principal, who are accountable to superintendents, who is accountable to the school board. Next, environment. There are two types of environment in the formal model. First, closed system, and second, open system. Closed system accountability is emphasized more towards school official rather than student and parent, while open system are interactive and respond to the changing environment while communicating with the local community. Leadership. Leadership authority are based on position. The person at the apex of the hierarchy set the tone of the organization. Leadership decisions are made through a rational process. Principals and superintendents are the public face of the organization and are expected to behave accordingly. Next, title, limitation of formal model. It may be unrealistic to characterize school and colleges as goal-oriented organizations. Is decision-making really a rational process? The contribution of individuals may be underestimated or ignored. It is assumed that power resides at the apex of the pyramids. Formal models are based on the assumption that the organizations are relatively stable. And the last, potential application in Malaysian school. Formal models have different approaches in terms of concept in school management. Definitely can be applied in school management in Malaysia. This is because school management is very broad field and covers many aspects such as curriculum, co-curriculum, student affairs and others. That's all my parts. Thank you.
I'm Kausalya Naidu Varadaraju Naidu, would like to present on managerial leadership. Before we move into managerial leadership, let's focus what is leadership. Okay. Leadership is a function of role. Some roles carry leadership accountability and some do not. Dr. Jacobs designated the inseparability of managerial role and the leadership accountability it carries by the term of managerial leadership. Now, let's look into what is managerial leadership. Managerial leadership is a process whereby the manager sets the purpose or direction for his or her subordinates and enables them to move along together in that direction with competence, full commitment and enthusiasm, dealing with obstacles they meet on the way. There are 7 managerial accountabilities, which are: first one is managerial planning and task assignment. Second is coaching. Third is continual improvement. Fourth is performance appraisal. Fifth is context setting. Sixth one, feedback. The last one is managerial meeting. but there are three we can achieve by apply this managerial leadership in school. First one is enable everyone work together, which is kerjasama. Second is everyone move along together, which is hala tuju. Third one is desired outcomes are achieved, which is mencapai matlamat. Okay. Okay, now let's look into managerial leadership model, which is managerial grid model, are also known as leadership grid, developed by Robert R. Blake and Jen Mountain in the early of 1960s. Okay, this is the managerial grid model based on the concern for people, which are in y-axis, and the concern for production, which in x-axis. There are 5 different leadership styles are given. Okay, let's look into what are the 5 leadership styles. First one is impoverished management, okay, which are lay on, you can see here 1:1, impoverished management. Managers with this approach are low on both the dimension and exercise minimum effort to get the work done from subordinates. Okay, let's look. The second one is task management, 9:1. Okay, you can see here 9:1. Also called dictatorial or parish style. Here leaders are more concerned about production and have less concern for people. They only have more concern for production, but less concern for people. So it's score in 1. Okay. Third one is middle of the road, 5:5. Okay. This is called middle of the road. This is basically a compromising style wherein the leader tries to maintain a balance between goals of company and the needs of people. The leader does not push the boundaries of achievement, resulting in average performance for organization. Here neither employee or production needs are fully met. Okay, let's look on the fourth one. Fourth one is a country club, 1:9. Okay, this is a collegial style characterized by low task and high people orientation, where the leader gives thoughtful attention to the needs of people, thus providing them with a friendly and comfortable environment. So you got it. The last one is team management. Okay, 9:9. Team management is characterized by high people and task focus. The style is based on the theory of Y of McGregor and has been termed as most effective style according to Black and Mountain. The leader feels the empowerment, commitment, trust, and respect are the key elements in creating a team atmosphere which will automatically result in high employee satisfaction and also production. Okay, now by using managerial grid model, it helps manager to analyze their own leadership style. Okay, there are aim of managerial grid model, which is it helps a leader to analyze his or her leadership style and its effect on team's productivity and also motivation. Okay, just now we have looked on the base on a concern for people and concern for production. Okay, let's look into advantages. There are 3 advantages which I can identify. First one is identifying managerial styles. Managerial grid is very useful in identifying and classifying managerial style. Second is managerial grid. It can be used as an instrument of organizational development through training programs, conference, and extra. Third one is it has been used successfully in improving the the attitudes and behavior of people throughout an organization. Okay, if there is an advantages, sure there will be some limitation. Let's look into the limitation. There are three limitations. First one is managerial grid does not indicate why a manager's styles fall in one or other part of the grid. Second, there are more dimensions of leadership that can be relevant, but they are only focusing into 5. Okay. Number third, the model basically neglects the significance of the internal and external constraints, context, circumstances, and situation. Okay, let me conclude about managerial grid model. The managerial grid model is viewed as an effective tool to identify and develop leadership qualities among managers. Managerial grid, especially the team leader model, has enabled many organizations to determine their multi-phase training as well as development programs required to achieve specific leadership behavior. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning, Prof. Dr. Hairuddin Muhammad Ali and fellow teachers. I'm Hafsham Nur Abdul Hamid, continuing my group presentation with my topic, Strategic Leadership Model. So I will start with the definition by Bowl 2004. Strategic Leadership Model is a series of decisions and activities, both process-oriented and substantive in nature. It forges a bridge between the past, the present, and the future, and it also develops, focuses, and enables an organization's structural human and social capital and capabilities to meet real-time opportunities and threats. Strategic leadership model makes sense of and gives meaning to environmental turbulence and ambiguity and provides a vision and roadmap that allows an organization to evolve and innovate. So in short, strategic leadership is a leader's ability to visualize, to plan, to lead, and to make the best out of the resources that they have to execute strategies efficiently and successfully. So next, we look at the diagram, ways of acting in organization by Hugh and BT. Strategic leaders merge their strategic plan to their strategic management. So in my view, the team exemplifies strategic leadership if all the members of the team think, act, and interact in ways that are focused on creating sustainable competitive advantage for the organization. So it differs from ordinary leadership in 3 ways. The first one, broad scope in defining the operational division in the organization. Second, it consider the impact for long run. And third, it involves of the huge change inside and outside of the organization itself. Strategic leaders should understand that strategy is a learning process rather than an event, and that effective strategic leadership involves a dynamic interplay between thinking strategically, acting strategically, building strategic relationships, and influencing within the relationships with a view to the long run. and constantly learning and what they need to do to get to achieve their vision. From the diagram also we can see that all the elements here is the key strategic action that are interconnected and influenced by each other in multiple ways of one to another. Next, we look at the limitation of strategic leadership model. So the first one, lack of flexibility. It can be difficult for strategic leaders to change the framework, the plan, if something needs to be changed, need to be altered. Next, the difficulty predicting the future. So it's not always easy, or it's not always possible to predict the future accurately. And the third one can be expensive. Successful strategic plans can increase profit and overall business success. So in our field, we are in education field. So schools are prone to know that the outcomes of the students' achievement. So if we have our plan that doesn't work, it could result in losing the pace that we expected to achieve. And the fourth one, stalled growth. So if strategic leaders are too conservative or too liberal on taking risks, so it can it can hamper the organization's growth or prevent the organization from seeing the problems that they are facing, or that the problems that they will face later. And lastly, lack of presence. So if strategic leaders struggle with finding the balance between looking toward the future, it kept them from addressing the current problems in the organizations. Next, the potential application of strategic leadership model in Malaysian school. So it is possible, and MOE implementing it with the principals and the headmasters through training and upskilling. So in Malaysian context, it shows that there are many factors that influence the principal strategic leadership and the students' outcome. So we focus on the students' outcome. The first one, the principals and headmasters are taught and skills, upskilling. The second, it is an effort to ensure, effort from MOE to ensure that the principals knows how to lead the school. So strategic principals should know how to develop a strategic plan for the school and practice a systematic planning, administration, and management. So I suppose that teachers are very familiar now with the strategic plan in departments, for example, in curriculum, co-curriculum, and student affairs. So we set up goals to achieve within stipulated time. And MOE also has undertaken efforts to ensure that every school leader is at a high level of readiness to administer the school. So it contains in PPPM 2013 to 2025, in which it contain attain higher quality of education through the 11 shifts. So MOE expect all the parties that participate, to work together, especially educators towards the achieving the goals and MOE aspirations. And MOE also ensure that every school has a high quality leader, whether it is a principal or a headmaster, and that they will be assisted by the middle leadership regardless of the location and level of school performance. So the school leadership team aims to provide the best leadership possible to improve the overall school performance. And lastly, all these are operated with a tool known as SKPMG2 or Standard Quality Pendidikan Malaysia Gelombang Kedua, second wave of Malaysian education quality standard. So in conclusions, the principals and headmasters plays important roles in which they should incorporate all the key strategic leadership actions in leading their schools to high achievements. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. My name is Khairul Izhar bin Kamaluddin, and I will continue the presentation on covering the instructional leadership models. Okay, so instructional leadership models consist of dimensions and functions or roles that can be practiced by school leaders in executing their responsibilities as an instructional leader. Okay, so instructional originated from instruction, which means teaching. Okay, in school context, teaching is more commonly used than the term instructional. In short, it is any effort towards encouraging and supporting parties that are involved in the teaching and learning process to achieve school goals and developing a strong school social system. Okay, now, next. There are three instructional leadership model. Number one is Murphy's instructional leadership model 1990, Weber's instructional leadership model 1996, and Hellinger's instructional leadership model 2011. Next. Okay, for Murphy's instructional leadership model, it consists of 4 dimensions and 16 functions. For Weber's instructional leadership model, it contains 5 dimensions, and Hellinger's instructional leadership model contains 3 dimensions and 10 functions. Okay, so Hellinger's instructional leadership model is the latest, as you can see there. Okay, the dates. Okay, it's created in 2011. Okay, it has been tested empirically on many researchers and has the widest usage in measuring a school leader's instructional leadership level. Okay, the other 2 models were not empirically tested. So I'm going to go a bit deeper on Hellinger's instructional leadership model. Okay, the first dimension is defining school goal. Okay, the 2 functions under this dimension is constructing school goal, and also number 2 will be spreading the school goal. So the principal or the school leader has the role, okay, in constructing and spreading the school goal. Number 2 will be managing instructional program. Okay, this is the second dimension, and there are 3 functions under this dimension. Number 1 will be supervising and evaluating instruction, meaning evaluating the teaching and learning. Number 2, coordinating curriculum. 3, monitoring the students' development. Okay, here the principal plays an important role in supervising and evaluating the teaching and learning process. Okay, whereby the teaching and learning process is actually leading towards achieving the school goal. Okay, and also number 3, you can see monitoring the students' development. So school principal or the school leader plays an active role in actually monitoring the schools, monitoring the students' development. Okay, it will be like a more communication, okay, with the teachers regarding the students' development. Okay, the third dimension is promoting school climate. This one is the widest dimension, where we have 5 functions there. Okay, number 1 will be protecting instructional period. Okay, number 2, always seen visible. Number 3, providing incentives for teachers, promoting professional development, and finally providing incentives for students' learning. These are the strategies that can be adopted, okay, by the school leader under this dimension. Okay, next. All right. limitation. Here now I would like to focus on the limitation of instructional leadership model and later potential application in Malaysia. Okay, next. Okay, the first limitation is hierarchical. The top-down relationship between the expert or supervisor or the principal, okay, or the school head and teacher will create discomfort among teachers. Okay, here in this model, the principal plays an important role in evaluating the teacher. So what do you feel, teachers, if the principal start to evaluate you? Okay, of course you will have some discomfort here and there. Okay, so this is one of the limitation of the instructional model. Okay, number 2 will be expertise. Difficulty of school leaders to be expert in all fields of teaching or curriculum. It means the school principal or the school leader, okay, can't observe or evaluate all teachers because of the different background. All right. Okay, next. Potential application in Malaysia. Okay, let's focus on NKRA, National Key Research Area under education. Okay, so under education there are 4 sub-education NKRA, and the 4th sub-NKRA is identifying and rewarding high-performing schools and a new deal for school leaders who succeeded to improve schools' excellence, or we can call it BIA. Okay, so here MOE is actually rewarding the school leaders, where they know the school leaders, okay, has an important role in achieving the school goal. Okay, students' achievement very much related to the performance of the school leaders. Okay, same with the instructional leadership model, where the school leader actually actively involved in helping the students to achieve the school goal. Okay, MOE has underlined 3 approaches to enhance students' success through the enhancement of school leaders' performance. Okay, number 1, school leaders need to act as an instructional leader who is actively involved in teachers' development through planning, coordinating, and evaluating teaching and learning process in school. This one, as you can see here, this is the second dimension. Alright, next, the school leaders act as the main agent of the change in ensuring the vision and mission can be realized parallel to the school goal for student success. This one covers in the first dimension, okay, creating the school goal. And finally, school leaders have to create, okay, a conducive school environment and supports teaching and learning process inside and outside the classroom. Okay, this one covers the third or the final dimension in instructional leadership model. So as the conclusion, what I can say is it's already been implemented, okay, by the Ministry of Education on instructional leadership model. So all in all, generally, okay, instructional leadership model is the role played by the principal, okay, actively participate in the success of the students' development in achieving the goals or the school goals. All right. So that's all from me. Next. Okay, so these are the references for our presentation, and thank you very much.